I love the guy. I just love him, you know.
Mother loved him best too, even though he's only a cousin.
Wesley, it's nice to meet you. My name is David Wright. I'm from Nebraska. Both these guys were talking about export markets. Several years ago, I should have said this earlier, but several years ago they had a fly-in for the 150th anniversary of the Department of Agriculture into the Quest Center in Omaha, Nebraska. And every Department of Ag from every state sent a delegation to Omaha to that meeting. And at that time, it was the Obama administration, and Secretary Vilsack came as well, as long as a representative from Brazil and one from New Zealand. So now, mind you, they're sitting at round tables like this, and the place is full. And I was invited to come along, because I was on a Checkoff at the time. I did 8 years on the Nebraska Beef Council and 6 years on the Cattlemen's Beef Board. Anyway, the man from Brazil stood up, just as boldly as possible, and said, "We need free trade because 90% of what we produce we cannot consume." He just said it. And New Zealand said the same thing. They said, we overproduce on those on cows, so we need to send our trimmings to the United States to mix with cattle for more hamburger, to mix with way-up cows. They just said it. And I was sitting at the table with North Carolina, the North Carolina Department of Ag, and I looked at the gal sitting there and said, maybe we ought to start labeling our product. Because obviously they're admitting that it's coming. And now, and I don't think how'd you say it?
Marfrig?
I don't think Marfrig was owned.
No, Marfrig was a German company initially.
Right, but it didn't own one of the major packing plants at that time.
No.
You know, at the time this happened, you know, at least 4 or 5 years ago. So anyway, what I want to get across to you is there's 3 things that we have an issue with in the cattle business, and it's not just the cattle business, it's agriculture in general. And it's called CCC. And I'm talking about whiskey, I'm talking about CCC, I'm talking about Checkoff, I'm talking about Cool, and I'm talking about concentration. Okay? The Checkoff, Mike touched a little bit on, my cousin over here touched a little bit on, but concentration is what I want to touch on. Those 3 things has affected everything from chickens to pork to milk to seed to fertilizer to cattle. Now it's starting to really affect cattle. Concentration, Checkoff, and country of origin labeling.